To you live from our studios in Muizenberg, Cape Town, South Africa. We are now joined by Mr. Nico Kleynhans. Nico, you had an interesting experience recently chatting to some married ladies and just asking them some poignant questions.
Yes, I received an invitation to what they called a hen's party. Now, I get many invitations and I try and be fairly open and say yes rather than no. But even I wondered how I qualified as one of the hens.
Me too.
But they explained that this was a code word they used. They were housewives. They live in the Pinelands area and they run their own homes. And there are times when they just need to get a break. And so they gather together and they become friends.
Brilliant.
And recently, one of their numbers had experienced a divorce.
Oy.
And she had come out of that completely devastated and also financially ruined. And they were shocked by that experience. And they began to ask themselves what would happen if that happened to us. And so their solution was to find a financial advisor and temporarily make him a hen and invite him to join them and ask questions. And so with that in mind, I agreed to go.
Okay.
And the reality is that in some communities, 50% of marriages are going to end in divorce.
Yeah.
But the reality is 100% of marriages are going to end when the partner dies.
Exactly.
So it's a question that everybody has to discuss.
Yeah.
And the format we agreed on is that I would ask 10 questions.
Okay.
The ladies would each have a clipboard and a pen. And the only answer they could put was yes or nothing.
Yeah. So only write down the word yes. If they couldn't write, if the answer wasn't yes, they don't write down anything.
They don't write down anything. And then they agreed that would be the process. So these were some of the questions I asked, and I would be interested to hear how you would answer if you were listening to those questions today. The first question was, where does your family bank? Now, I don't want to know anything about the credit card. I want to know where the bank accounts are kept.
The main bank account.
The main bank accounts. 3 of the ladies knew where their bank accounts were. The rest relied on their husbands and didn't know. Where have you read your husband's will? One of those ladies had read the will. The rest had not. Do you know where the will is kept? One knew, and so the rest, if their husbands passed away, would not know where the wills were kept. Do you have enough sufficient funds to feed your family for 1 month? The credit card doesn't count as sufficient funds. No one picked up their pen. Have you earned any kind of independent income in the last 24 months? No one picked up their pen. Should your hubby be hospitalized, unable to speak to you, do you know which accounts have got to be paid? Do you have the PIN numbers to the laptops? No one picked up the pen. The rest of the questions were answered. No one picked up the pen. Rachel, how prepared do you think these ladies were to face the realities
Sadly,
of catastrophe?
not prepared at all.
Now, what many people don't realize is that in the last year, 3 listeners who contacted me were men. Their wives did everything around finances. They earned, but the wives did everything. And what those families, those 3 men didn't realize is that when your wife passes away, your kids go through trauma. You're grieving your wife's passing. You're grieving because you don't know how to deal with your kids' trauma. And then you don't even know which accounts have got to be paid. You don't even know how her system worked. You don't even know the passwords. that creates real issues. Those are things that could have been avoided if you'd had awkward conversations. But the issue that most couples struggle with is to talk about finances, because you learn about finances from your parents, and you don't learn to talk about finances as a couple. And sometimes you go through 20 years of marriage without having those awkward conversations. So the questions that I was asking those ladies, I really ought to be asking guys as well, and I
You
do.
should, yeah.
But they are real questions. Financial planning is not only about buying policies. It's about using a mentor to guide you through finding out what you do need to be talking about as a couple. It may involve talking about insurance, but it may also be talking about strategies. It may also be talking about realistic strategies to put in place to protect your family should something happen. That person has the advantage that they're neutral, they are not related to you, they don't choose sides, and they do not carry the baggage that they would carry if they were a mother, a father, an uncle, or an aunt who gets involved in family arguments. So, for the sake of your family, you need to be having a neutral mentor. And it doesn't mean you need to have them there for 10 years. It's just a matter of until you get your strategies sorted out. Please take this seriously, because if you don't, there's going to be a time when you regret not having done so.
Sure. So on point. And I remember somebody close to me just saying that when his father-in-law passed away, it was a real struggle. Everything, he was very organized, but there was just one aspect, and that was the tablet that the father-in-law used to do banking app and so forth. And he'd failed to put that password onto the file with all the information. And it was quite a struggle because you only get so many tries and then that tablet shuts
You're locked
down.
out.
Exactly.
You're locked out.
So don't wait. That's a very, very important thing to get done and dusted. Nico, thank you so much for your time and for chatting to us about this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.